half-assed Daily Decembear. Hey, I'm Tommy, and this is half-assed Daily Decembear, and my guest today is Woofer from St. Louis. You might know him as Woofer STL on LiveJournal and Twitter. And is that the name you use everywhere now?
Pretty much everywhere. Because you know what? I can't remember all that crap, so I say you just use the same thing everywhere, and less to remember.
Yes. Until you get places that want you to have a number in your name. It's like, oh, come on.
Oh, yeah. We won't talk about that. Or actually, we probably will.
Well, I don't know. So I first learned about you on LiveJournal many years ago, like 7 or 8 or more. And then
I think I started there around 2000 and late 2005 is when I first got my LiveJournal account.
Okay, so.
And yeah, that was kind of like my introduction to the world of social media or whatever. I mean, I guess before social media was social media, it was just actually I was working and I was kind of bored at this one part of this project I was on, and I was just a peon because I just started this job, so I was way down low and I didn't have any responsibilities, and I'd gotten everything done and nobody really needed my help, and I was okay. I need to pretend I'm doing something, and a friend of mine had talked about his LiveJournal account, and so I went and I was looking at through his and how they had the friends that you could actually go and read and stuff, and I said, well, this is interesting, and of course if you want to comment on something you had to have an account, and so I created an account, and since Woofer was already taken by some 16-year-old girl in Portland, I figured to tack, like you said, I tacked on the STL for St. Louis. And yes, STL does stand for St. Louis, not Seattle. I get that a lot.
Yes, SEA is Seattle.
Yeah.
If you want airport code.
Exactly. So I figured, okay, that'd be something, and so that worked. And so yeah, so I started commenting and making some friends there, and then I started noticing that things that you would and then I started posting instead of just commenting, and I'd post this, that, and the other things, and I started to notice that you would get more comments or more response from what you were doing if you had a picture to go with it, and and hopefully something that had to do with the subject matter. And so that's pretty much how I got started. Well, that plus, I would work on the road, and so I'm sitting around in hotel rooms by myself in the evening, and so nothing better to do, and so that gave me the incentive to, okay, well, let me come up with, a picture that would illustrate the thing that I'm writing about, which would get everybody's attention and be a little entertaining, and they would actually read what I was writing. And so, being by myself, I had nobody else to be in my picture, so I figured out I had to do it myself. And so, thus the learning how to use a timer. And I had my little cheapy point and shoots, and that's as I reach into my bag, my little Lumix point and shoots.
Oh yes.
They've always been my camera of choice. Say cheese. I gotcha. And I've gone through quite a few of these things. Can't really see it. Oh well. Because they're not really woofer proof. Because
because you take a lot of pictures by the pool. How many have you dropped in the water?
And it's not just the pool either. It's because I drop things. I put them up in precarious position. Before the invention of the Gorilla Pod, I'd have it, setting up on a beer bottle and like sitting like that, and then or maybe up on a bookshelf, and then I'm trying to angle it down, and then it falls and it lands on the extended lens, and then the lens gets bent, and then the zoom gets busted, and then it's like, man, can we go to Costco? and I have to go get me another point and shoot. Um, and then of course they came out with the waterproof or the woofer-proof versions that are somewhat waterproof and shock resistant. Because I do tend to drop things and splash on things and that. This, of course, is my second woofer-proof camera, since the first one wasn't quite woofer-proof enough. So, anyways, but fortunately, little point-and-shoots, they're not that expensive, and you can still get a really good picture and all that stuff, and you can figure out how to do stuff. And that led me down the road to hell. And so
tell us how that picture, the flower picture, became viral.
Oh, okay. So, and that one was really just a vacation picture. We were at a campground down in central Missouri, which was just for the guys, and swimming suits were not really required, so it's one of those kind of places, which of course was perfect for me, since, as you probably noticed, I have a hard time keeping my clothes on, much to the chagrin of Matthew, who.
Well, this should be your cue to take off the shirt now, right?
Oh, well, yeah. So yeah, I do have a tendency to, lose my clothes with alarming regularity. But it's like, it's okay, and so I've kind of gotten used to that too. I think that came from when, after I retired from the Army, I worked at a bear and leather bar while I went to and finished my degree in college, and so you got over your shyness, because I was really kind of shy and stuff when I got out, but I got over that. I got over that shit pretty quick.
It's hard to imagine you being shy now. Yes,
I know, but it's true. Anyways, so we're at this campground, and I think this was about December of 2007. So it's been really that long ago. It's been 7 years now. Jeez. And there was this daisy floaty sitting around the pool, with water noodles and and other.
Oh, and the noodle. So that other thing was a noodle. Okay. It's hard to tell when I was looking at the little picture on the screen last night. I'd seen it before, and I was going, that's
what a lot of people say. And
yes.
And so, of course, being silly and like, well, this here would be silly and entertaining, and I bet you my friends I have on Live Journal. And that was the other thing, is that back then it was a small group of people that would see your posts. It wasn't really public, especially the stuff that was kind of a little on the more risque side, because back then, you could restrict your posts to just your friends,
right?
And so and the same thing with and I had to find a place to host them, and that's how I discovered Flickr, and even there, you can restrict it to just your friends. So anyways, it's like, my friends would get a kick out of seeing this. So let's go do some silly stuff. And actually, I did not take those pictures. I put Matthew to work doing that. And he doesn't do it that often, and I rarely do it, and there's a reason for that, and I'll come back to it. But so I squeezed my fat ass into this here daisy floaty, and wearing it like a tutu.
Yes, that's what it looks like. Yes.
Yeah, and so and I start prancing around and doing leaps in the air, and he got the best picture of the whole set is this one where I'm actually leaping through the air, and then of course doing the silly one. It's like, well, if this here's a daisy, well, you got to have a stem, and of course, where are you going to put the stem? Shove it up in your crotch. So I got the water noodle and got it down there, and I go, ta-da, and there we have it.
Right.
So. And I posted them out there, and they were up on Flickr and all that stuff. And then somebody wrote me a note and sent me a link, and it had shown up in Japan. The silly picture with the flour and the noodles, and I'm like, well, that's kind of strange. And then it started showing up all over the place, I mean, and it would like surface, from time to time. And so, heading that way, Japan, New Zealand, Australia, um, somewhere else. God, where else? But I know it's been Portugal, Austria. Yeah, in Portugal it was face and whole. You could actually, there was a big white spot where my face was, and you could upload a picture of yourself and pretend that you were looking through the hole, and that's how face and whole works. And then the Sun UK, it was one of their top virals of the week. Roger Ebert, on his blog for the Chicago Sun Times a year or two ago, had posted it as his Saturday fun picture. So yeah, it's weird that it just pops up, all over the place, and you never know where it's going to show up next. And something that was interesting was, I guess this was back in, I want to say March, and somebody had taken it and uploaded it to Reddit. And
oh, right. The place it'll just go crazy. Yes.
Yeah. So he uploaded it to Reddit on a Monday morning, and the caption was, "And this was his dating profile picture." And it's like, well, obviously, as we all know, I don't, it wasn't, but the thing was, and so the whole idea was, and this is kind of how cool things are, is that, when people try and do, a dick move like that, because the whole idea there is, hey, look, this guy, look at this here crazy son of a bitch. He actually used this as his dating profile, and he figured that, he'd get a whole bunch of other idiots to ridicule me for doing that, or ridicule the guy in the picture. But as it turned out, though, out of the several hundred comments, they were all pretty positive. Everybody's like, I'd go on a date with him. He looks like a lot of fun. There was this one guy. That guy better have some hip waders, because he's gonna be knee deep in pussy. So, and then by the end of the day, or maybe by the end of that week, nearly 750,000 people had seen that picture in just a couple of days. And to be able to give that many people a chance to giggle, because it's a funny picture, and people do, it's silly, but people giggle when they see it, and to be able to give, that many people a giggle on a Monday morning, it's very humbling, and to have a chance to do that, and and like I said, even something that was just a throwaway, turning out to get a life of its own.
So you had another picture that had a similar response. What's the response been to the Rob Ford photo?
About a year and a half ago, we had had a leather night at our bar, the one that put me through college, for JJ's Clubhouse in St. Louis. Right. For Jeff and Jerry, great guys, to whom I am eternally grateful.
So I met you there about 4 or 5 years ago, I guess.
This is true. So we were there for, I think it was the Mr. Missouri Leather Contest, and it was, like I said, it was like in April. And so I was in my, leather bear jockstrap and some leather suspenders and boots and my restraints and all the usual stuff and a collar. And of course, to document the event, I took a picture out in the parking lot as I was getting ready to head home. Because the lighting was good, because I'm always on the lookout for good lighting. That's the important thing. You always got to keep an eye out for good lighting. But so I took this picture of me, coming across the parking lot, and you can actually see me. I'm holding this here camera with the Gorilla Pod, by the Gorilla Pod, and so you can see in the edge of the picture the wrist strap dangling down. That's how you can kind of tell what that is. But then a year later, this website in Canada called the World News Report. And to this day, I don't know if it was done as an April Fool's joke or if they were actually trying to drum up some kind of, Inquirer-like news, but they were saying Mayor Rob Ford captured in at Leather Strip Club video or something like that. And because it surfaced on April Fool's Day. Now,
okay.
The story was dated 24 March, but it surfaced on, I was actually at the airport in Austin, I think, or Dallas. I think it was Austin. Anyways, and somebody had sent me a message and said, hey, you should take a look at this. And so, yeah, my email just kind of blew up that day, and it kind of took a life on its own through the usual social media channels. So that was kind of strange. I even sent them a letter saying, hey, or an email saying, hey, I'm actually the owner slash person in this photograph, and here's the URL from where it came from, and it is copyrighted, but I like a good April Fool's joke as much as anybody else, so go ahead and leave it up, because at least I thought that's what they were doing, but to this day I think it's still up, and so who knows? Yeah.
So it was just like more oil on the fire for Rob Ford scandal. So
exactly, it was all and it was vogue then. So yeah, it was all in vogue, and of course everybody's trying to find something new, and so oh yeah, now he's he's doing crack. Hey, he's in a leather video now. Hey, which I don't know, might be kind of hot. Okay, I will admit that I find a lot of assholes really hot. Rush Limbaugh back in the day, I used to have the hots for him, and he's such a douchebag. But
well, sometimes that's part of what makes them attractive is that they're the bad boy.
That's true, the bad boy thing. You know what? It's like I don't really want to talk to you. I just want to. Can I say I just want to suck your dick? I don't want to talk to you. I just want to suck your dick.
There you go. Just and then shut up and enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. So,
unless you're going to encourage me, right?
Oh, that's true. Oh God, don't get me started. I can go get my writing crop. It's in the other room.
Well, so you mentioned Matthew a couple of times. You want to talk about him and the kids at home?
Okay. Well, Matt and I have been together now for 13 years. I had to sit back and sometimes I have to sit and do the math. Okay, what year is it? And then subtract one. So it's 2014. Take a year off because I didn't retire from the Army until 2001, and he kind of put his hooks into me fairly quickly, but he was sneaky about it, and that's just it. Because he didn't, because like I said, I'd just gotten out of the Army. I had just moved back from Europe because I'd been living in Germany for the last 9.5 years, Germany and points beyond. I was in a relationship there for nearly 6 years. And sweetest guy ever, but very jealous, So it's like, why are you looking at these other guys? It's like, we were at bear night. Of course we're going to look at the guys. I came home with you. Right. Anyways, yeah. Yes, I do speak German. So, hallo, wie geht's? Alle du Leute, die Deutsche aus da? It's not very good German. It's street German, and I'll get into that later too. So, anyways, but he was nice, and he worked kind of slow. We started hanging out, and because I'm like not in a relationship, don't want to be. Let's fuck. I was actually going to get a T-shirt that said that because it's like, hey, I'm free. I don't have to worry about the Army anymore, and that whole don't ask, don't tell, and the big risk and everything. Is like I'm free, and so or at ridiculously reduced prices. So I would go out and it's like I'm ready to have some fun and get crazy, which I probably did. And so he was like, go have fun, and he encouraged it, and because being out there and living the life, as it say, for all these years while I was kind of cooped up. So yeah, he'd been there, done that, and and all that stuff. But slowly but surely, he just kind of reeled me in. And I would say 7 months later, I was hooked. Um, so yeah, we've been together ever since. The kids obviously are Fred and Ethel, our two pugs. That we've had. They're about 3.5 now. They were born on St. Patty's Day. So they're, whether they like it or not, they get to be featured in pictures as well. Because I mean, who could resist a pug puppy? Actually, me. I want a pug, or I didn't want any small dogs. So, of course, I'm getting ahead of myself. But when Matt and I first got together, he had a chocolate lab that was named Coco.
Big dog.
Yeah, she was a super sweet dog that he stole from this asshole who lived next door to one of his coworkers and was beating on her.
Oh.
Pardon me. But he would beat on her, with a belt and that kind of stuff. And, she would tell him about it at work, and it's like, yeah, this poor dog, and she comes over and she hides out on my patio, and then he comes over and so, she's like, you know what, the next time she comes over, call me. I'm kind of allergic to dogs, but you know what, I can't let that happen. And so, one day she calls up, it's like, yeah, the dog's over here, and he came looking for her, but I said, oh, I haven't seen her. So I said, okay, I'll be over. So we went over, and we're on the patio, and there's Coco hiding out in the corner, under a bench. And he just opens up his door, and it's like, well, if you want to go, let's go. She jumped in that truck, and off they went. So, it took a while, because she was afraid of belts, and he had broken her tail, and she had to work. But she had a loving home, and so we had her, and she passed away. God, I can't remember now. I'm going to say about 2008. We weren't even sure, how old she was. 2008 or somewhere in there. And after she passed away, we just didn't get another dog because we just weren't ready. And then we tried getting this other dog. It was a golden lab, and his name was Buddy. And we thought that was going to work out because he's really obedient and all that, and really lovable and all that. The thing was, he had to have constant attention. I mean, we would go out and we'd take him and we'd run him crazy and throw the ball and go for walks and all that stuff, and then bring him back, put him in the house, and give him something, and then leave for like 20 minutes to go up to the store. We'd come back and he pissed on the couch. So, it was understood that, this couldn't go on because, with me being away from home half the time and Matthew all busy, I was like, we can't give the dog constant attention. Fortunately, we found this here preacher that lives in the country, had 6 kids, was a friend of a friend, and it's like, hey, they were looking for a dog. Here's a lovable dog that loves kids and loves to play, and they've been happy ever since. So there was that. So then, yeah, we didn't after that, we didn't have a dog for a long time, and then some friends of ours who had pugs, one had a male and another friend had a female, and they decided, okay, you know what, let's give this a shot and mate them and get a litter out of it. And so Matt's like, well, I'm kind of ready for another dog, and I'm like, yeah, but we've always had big dogs. I mean, I've always had big dogs. And Matthew had always had big dogs, and so we've always had big dogs. So he says, well, yeah, but these, I've been reading a lot about them, and I think I kind of want this. Like, you want a little yap dog? Because that's the way I consider. I consider all small dogs to be yap dogs, like Chihuahuas or whatever.
Right.
Well, let's go, let's go see it. So we went out there, and I think that they were maybe 2 weeks old at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I had worked really late the night before, so I was really tired when we went out. And I'm like, okay, let's go see these things. All he had to do was take Fred, who was the run of the litter, and put him in my hands. And I'm like, so I had melted, and was like, okay. we will take them and give them a happy home. Because the reason we wanted to, that we got to, and that was it was Matt's idea, was that pugs have a tendency to have separation anxiety. So if you do leave, and especially after what we went through with Buddy, they go crazy and all that. So they have a tendency to. And it's like, but if we have two, then they can keep each other company. And pretty much they have done that. You know, it's been great. You know, because when we're not there, they're inseparable. They sleep together, they play together, they fight. You know, we'll play fighting. You know, it's like I want the bone, no, I want the bone. You know, that kind of stuff. They play tug of war. It's really a lot of fun. And they always make me giggle, and they always make me smile, and they always make me happy when I'm feeling like crap. And so, you know, the healing power of puppy kisses, you know, it's true. But I've always been a dog person. As a matter of fact, that's kind of how I got my name. Oh. No, you didn't hear this story before. What had happened, it was that it's not a bear thing. It is totally not a bear thing. Okay, so you can edit the story if you need to. It might get a little rambling. So, as may or may not be known, that, you know, like I said, I did spend 22 years in the Army, and my job was as a dog handler with the military police. Bomb dogs, bug dogs, security attack dogs, that kind of fun stuff. Yes, lots of fun stuff. And y'all have seen enough, you know, Army movies and to know the term HUA, you know. So, and it's mostly the combat arms troops, especially airborne, Rangers, stuff like that. You know, whenever something happens, go, HUA, you know, and it's HUA this. And it's kind of a general term, you know, based on your inflection, you know, and it's like, HUA, you know, let's go, or HUA. And, like, you know, you can use it means it's a term of agreement, or HUA. What the fuck are you talking about? Or, okay, you know, we'll do it. You know, all that kind of, it's basically how you use it is what it means, you know. Anyways, there was this, he was a major, and he was the deputy provost marshal where we were stationed at, and by then I was in charge of the dog kennels. And he hated the dog handlers. And the deputy provost marshal, think of him as the deputy chief of police, in layman's terms. And he pictured himself a ranger, because, you know, he went to West Point. You know, he was a ring knocker. God, he knocked that ring all the time. And he had actually gone to ranger school, but he didn't complete it. Now, there's three ways that you can not make it through ranger school. One is academic failure. You just can't grasp the concept and all that stuff. So that's no thing. Number two, physical. You just can't handle the physical requirements, or you get hurt or something like that. No, the third way to not make it through ranger school is what's called being peered out. And basically, when you go through ranger school, you go through as a team. Everybody knows SEAL Team 6. Same concept. You have a team, and everybody has a job, you know, and the team works as a big unit, and you go in there, and you're your own little army, and you do these missions. And they're obviously dangerous missions, and so everybody's life depends on everybody else. Now, if the rest of your team thinks that you are hazardous to the lives of the rest of the team, they can literally vote you off the island, in the common vernacular. They will vote you off the team, and that's basically, it's your peers have decided that they do not want you on the team, and you get peered out of school, and he was peered out. But that didn't stop him from saying, I am a ranger. You know, I would have been a ranger if those other assholes would have listened, but I'm hooah. So he's always saying hooah and stuff. It's like, dude, you're not even in a combat unit. You're a police chief, deputy police chief of police. So, and he, like I said, he hated the dog handlers. And it's mostly because my predecessor, I just taken over. My predecessors didn't really do good PR because we did so much training that we had to go out and do that nobody knew what we were up to. And they figured, oh, those damn dog handlers are all out fucking around. They're not here to help out with anything, you know? So, anyway, so he hated us. And so he was kind of like my nemesis. So it's like, okay, I know how to piss this guy off. So we're not combat arms. We're dog handlers. Dogs say woof. Combat arms say hua. So you know what? Anytime he says hua, we need to say woof. And so I started it, you know. And like I said, and he would get pissed off too. You know, he'd go hua, and I'm like woof. And then like what? You know, and he really couldn't say anything. He's like, hey, yo, the dog handler, we're with you. Yeah, woof, woof. And what starts off as kind of a joke, if you do it enough, becomes a habit. So I was saying woof with alarming regularity. I think I should just use that as my catchphrase, alarming regularity. Remember that. But yeah, so I was saying woof all the time, woof, 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 you know, like I said. So it's just like, think of, you know, any combat arms movie, wherever they say hua, I was saying woof. And when I retired, you just don't switch off habits like that. So I'm still saying woof. Of course, I'm hanging out at a bear bar. So everybody thought, oh, he says woof a lot. Well, that's really cute. Yeah, we like woof, you know, because we're bears and all that stuff. And he's really into this stuff, isn't he? But, you know, like I said, I was just kind of learning things. Anyway, so Matthew had decided, you know, it's like, and I started using my initials because I never really cared for my given name anyways. And it was fine in the Army because nobody called you by your first name anyways. It was always your last name. So I started using my initials, and that sounded stupid too. And so Matthew actually decided to say, you know what, I'm going to call you my little woofer. You know, because so that was his pet name for me. You know, so you're my little woofer. You know, anyways, so he was using it around the bar and all of our friends and all that. And he was calling me Woofer, and everybody says that's kind of a fun name. We'll call you Woofer too because you say woof a lot. It's like, and so he's like, okay. And it's like, so who am I to say no? Of course, Matthew was a little upset at night. That's my name for you, but you know, just like anything else, once the cat's out of the bag, you can't put it back in. So that's how I became Woofer. It has absolutely nothing to do with bears. Surprise.
That's amazing.
Oh, Lordy.
All right. I think we're going to wrap this up. So is there anything else you want to add or anything else you want to say to my viewing audience?
Stay positive. That's the big thing. Because, you know, life is not easy. And shit's going to happen. And people are going to hate what you do. No matter what you do, or there's always going to be somebody who's going to hate what you do. The thing is that you need to believe in what you're doing. You need to have a good reason for what you're doing. You know, in my case, you know, it's you know, the reason that I keep doing this here is, well, I guess out of habit or whatever. But it's because it's fun and people enjoy it, and people always say, oh, and it's like I don't post to, you know, the book anymore, and people are like, I missed your posts over there. You know, I kind of looked forward to them because they were silly and, you know, a lot of fun. And it's like, well, I still do it. Just look here, and that's kind of the way I do it. You know, it's like I enjoy making people laugh, and I enjoy making people happy because that's what makes me happy, is to see other people being happy. And you know, and so do I overshare some? Maybe. And that's the other weird thing. I don't post that many pictures every day. Everybody says, God, you just post like a zillion pictures. Usually, I mean, if there's something really big, if there's something really happening, I might post, you know, four pictures or something. But usually, it's one picture a day. That's it. The thing is, though, is that people will take them and repost them, or especially in Tumblr, because all people do is just reblog stuff and everything. Why don't people, leave me comments on my blog? It's like, well, you don't post any original comments, just other people's stuff. And when they leave a comment on that picture, it goes back to the original commenter, not to you. So if you want comments, you gotta join the conversation. You gotta say something to get something. So it's kind of what the echo chamber. And so for everybody that's sick of seeing my stuff, I can't help you. And tell your friends you can not follow me, or you can not follow the people that repost my stuff. But I can't tell people not to do it. Now, if they're stealing my stuff, then I put it in a copyright infringement thing, and usually it gets taken down. But anyway, so I get off on these tangents. But that's the whole thing. It's like people are gonna give you shit and all that. But fuck them, because the reason that they're giving you shit is because they're jealous that you're out there having fun. So you need to have fun, and you need to have fun with your friends, and you need to make people happy, and you need to be happy. And if it's a tough day, you can share that too, because that's a part of life. My stuff is not all sunshine and roses and all that stuff. I give you the warts and all, but that's life. So welcome to Woofer World. Enjoy the madness.
Well, thanks for joining us today.
Well,
this has been my Daily Decembear blog, and my guest has been Woofer from St. Louis. You can find him at WooferSTL on Twitter. Is that the same on Instagram?
Twitter, Instagram, Flickr, LiveJournal. I try to do LiveJournal more than I used to. So I think that's everything. Yeah, Flickr, Twitter, Instagram, everything just starts off at Instagram. So if you get me on Instagram, then again, Tumblr is free though. Anybody can follow me there. Instagram, I get kind of selective because there they can say, I don't like that, and they report your pictures. So,
yeah.
Again, with the tendency to lose my clothes sometimes. They don't like butt on Instagram. Tumblr, anything. So, hey, go to Tumblr. There you go. Or not.